Hello and welcome to the second instalment of the Door to Enchantia colour along from Colour with Claire. So last time we did these ivy leaves on the archway and on the door as well, and today we're going to be doing all of this stonework of the archway and this step here. So the colours that I've chosen are from the cool grey family of Prismacolors. We have 10% cool grey, 30% cool grey and 70% cool grey. I may be using the 90% cool grey possibly at the end to darken up the edges of some of the stones, but I'm putting that aside for now because I'm still not sure whether I'm going to do that. So it's our 3-colour blend again, very simple. I'll zoom in for you so you can see exactly what we're doing. There we go. And we're going to start off with this top stone. So what we're going to do is get our darkest grey and make a border all the way around following the contours of the stone. So this can be really dark on the outer edges, and again we're going to create that fluffy baseline for the next colour as we go inwards. So with last time, and every time I blend, we do it darker around the edge. So you can be pretty firm with your pressure, but then as we go into the central part of the stone, we're using less pressure to just give a bit of a whisper of colour, just a slight bit of pigment on the page to blend this darker colour into the next. So once you've got that sort of fuzzy inner edge, we'll use that as our base colour for the next lightest grey, which is the 30% cool grey. So there are lots of variations of greys in the Prismacolor set. There's 30%, 50%, 70%, 90%. But often what I do with 3-colour blends is skip one to get those 3 colours, rather than use like all 5 or 6 greys. If you just skip one, they're still going to blend really, really well, and it'll just be quicker and a lot easier. So I'm going over that fuzzy colour that we put down, making sure that this looks blended. And once that's done to where you like it, you can just put some of this really, really light 10% cool grey in the centre. You can fill the whole stone up with this if you want to. It's very, very close to white anyway, or you could just leave that white in the centre to give it a brighter highlight in the middle. So I'm now using this lightest grey to just go over what we've done and make it look a little bit more seamless. And you can obviously go back in with your next darkest colour and adjust that if you've gone too far or you just want it to be a little bit darker. And of course you can always go back to that very first step as well to darken the edges, but we may be using the 90% cool grey for that in the end. See how I feel. So the look that we're going for is a look of shadow and darkness around the edges, but something that looks completely blended, not one colour and then another and then another, to give that effect of the light hitting the front of the stone. So when that's blended to your liking, that's literally all you have to do, and we'll follow exactly the same thing on all of the stones on this archway. So again, starting with our 70% cool grey. Don't forget, as I mentioned in the first video, you can use absolutely any pencil brand that you like. You could even use markers if you wish. And there is a pencil conversion chart from Prismacolor to Polychromos if you're using those. So you can get the closest possible shade to what I'm using. So I really hope that you enjoyed the first video. It's quite nerve-wracking for me, as you could tell, because I kept saying it. And I hope you have some ideas for how you want this to look and how you want it to go. So last time I said that I was quite intent on doing a brown door, but as I was watching the video back, I realised that this side of the door is on the side of Enchantia, and obviously that's this magical fantasy world, and it wouldn't, in all realism, it probably wouldn't be brown, because that's my thing of trying to keep things realistic. So let me know if you've got any ideas of how to make this look really magical. So these smaller stones are going to be a little bit quicker than that first one, obviously, and as you know, anything I do doesn't take long because I just don't like to spend an age on things. So if there's a quicker way of doing it, that's what I'll do. Now this isn't going to be some incredible work of art like your Chris Cheng colour alongs or you know, people like that really just blow you away. This is the best of my ability regarding blends and things like that. So I just don't want you to expect too much from this. It's going to look lovely, don't get me wrong, but it's not one of those just incredible colour alongs that you would see on YouTube. I'm just not capable of that kind of level of colouring yet. You'll also notice from time to time that I do go out of the lines. This is just because I'm not very careful, basically, and I'm not one of these people who just has to really take the time around the edges. I just kind of just do it. And if it goes out of the lines, then so be it. So I haven't made a plan with this page at all, I never do. My basic rule of starting a page is to colour the things first that I absolutely definitely know what colours I want them to be. So I think that's probably why I did start on the ivy leaves, because I just knew that I wanted those to be the sort of mossy green colour. And then I knew that how I was going to do this stonework, and that I was going to use some cool greys on it. So that's the kind of order that I go in. I don't plan colours before I start the page. And what I usually do is just try and build up the contrast by colouring all the stuff first that I definitely know the colour that I want it to be, and then whatever colour that is, I'll just have a look on the colour wheel and see what the contrasting colours are to what I've already done. So it will just make them pop a little bit more. I've just thought of a really cool device that would be so useful for doing these blends. I'm gonna have to go on Dragon's Den with this. So imagine if there was a tool that you could hold that had all 3 pencils in it like that, and then you could just click with your thumb and the next pencil would come into play, and then you click again and the next colour would, and you wouldn't have to keep picking up pencils. How lazy is that? But it would be really, really useful, I think. I just have these random thoughts when I'm colouring. It could also have a little wind machine on it, or a little fan that you could just press it and it just blow away all of the little dust bits. I think I'd probably get kicked out of Dragon's Den if I took that idea in there. Do you have any ideas for dream colouring tools that don't yet exist but would make your life much easier? Let me know in the comments. Or is it just me that thinks of these random things? So unlike the leaves that we did on the last video, it doesn't so much matter about your pencils being super sharp on these stones, because we are giving it a very, very soft look anyway. And it's not a very small space, so we don't have to sharpen them to within an inch of their lives to get in the nooks and crannies. So if you're using any other pencil sets, apart from the obvious sort of artist ones like your Prismacolor, your Polys, all you need for this is just a light, medium and a dark grey. It's as simple as that. On pretty much every blend that I do, you just need a light, a medium and a dark shade for everything. And as I say, you can always go back in at the end and darken up the darkest bits, or even use your eraser to lighten the lightest bits and give more of a contrast. So there's always ways around things. So I don't know what the weather's like where you are, but here in good old Great Britain, it's extremely dark and depressing and cloudy and grey absolutely every single day since pretty much Christmas. It's been freezing cold and there's been no sunshine, there's been no blue skies. It's just grey outside, so really, really depressing. But ideal colouring weather, because we can just sit inside all day and do all these colour alongs. in between lots of housework, of course. Woman's work is never done. And you've got a husband and 2 children and a dog. There's always housework to be done. So I don't spend as much time colouring as I would like, but I do try to put every single bit of my spare time into it because it's my favourite thing to do. I don't know if you guys like to listen to music or watch TV when you're colouring. I love watching TV or films when I'm colouring. So usually now, if I wasn't doing this spoken colour along, I would have the TV on and I'd have this on my lap. And I'd be watching whatever it is that I'm into at the time, because I switch from different box sets and different movies. So everyone knows I love horror films. So I'll either be watching a horror film or a box set, and the box set that I'm watching at the moment is Penny Dreadful. So I've just got into it. I'm on season 2. I know it's been out for ages, but that's usually how things go with me. It'll be ages before I actually start it, and then I'll get really into it and everyone already knows what's happened. So that's what I'm watching at the moment. I'm also catching up on Inside Number 9, which is in its 4th season now, and it's on TV every week at the moment. I absolutely love it. I don't know whether people in the US will have heard of it, but it's from the writers of a dark comedy that was on TV years ago called The League of Gentlemen. And that's one of my favourite ever TV series. And the writers are just incredible and so talented. There's nothing on TV at the moment anywhere that's like Inside Number 9. It's basically an anthology. So every week is a different set of characters, different place, different story. None of them sort of correlate together. And it's always set in a number 9 somewhere, whether that's carriage number 9 on a train, or a house number 9, or a hotel room. It's always set in a number 9, and it always has a sort of dark, macabre undertone or a tragic twist in there. And the writing is really incredible. If you haven't seen it and you are a fan of things like that, definitely find it on demand or Netflix if it's on there, and check it out, because it's really good. So the last horror film I watched the other day was The Strangers with Liv Tyler. I have seen it before. I saw it years and years ago, and it's always freaked me out, that film, because it's just something that could happen. It's not a fantasy. It's not like a fantasy horror film or a silly horror film. It really actually could happen. It's about intruders, home intruders. And a few years ago, I went through a bit of a stage where I was really worried about getting burgled. I don't know why, but I used to lie in bed at night and worry about it. And I'd go and make sure the doors were all locked twice and things like that. But I think anyone sort of, that scares them, knowing that somebody else is in your property, in your space. So yeah, that's a really good film. I believe they have a second one coming out soon as well, so I'll be going to see that. And I think the scariest thing about it is that there's no rhyme or reason behind why they do it. They're not trying to burgle the couple. They literally do it because they were home when they knocked on the door. So yeah, freaky. The other day I watched The Wicker Man for about the millionth time. The original, of course, not the Nicolas Cage version. Less said about that, the better. One of the most brilliant horror films of all time. The wonderful Christopher Lee as Lord Summerisle, and just a very uneasy atmosphere all the way throughout the film in every single scene. So I'm just chatting away here. Oh my gosh, I've gone right off the... Oh dear, so sorry, I've gone right off the screen as well. But I've not been doing anything different. It's all exactly the same. Oh, I hate that when that happens. yeah, so I'm chatting away here about rubbish, but if you want to ask me any questions or give me something to talk about in the videos, I would really appreciate that. So if there's anything you want to know about the colouring process, or anything you want to know, let me know in the comments and I'll be sure to answer in the next video. Can't believe I went off the screen then. That's really annoyed me, and I bet you were all sat there thinking she's just chatting about The Wicker Man and horror films and we can't even see what she's doing. That's something I'm going to have to check like literally every 2 minutes to make sure I'm still on the screen. I don't know how I got all the way down there, that was really weird. So anyway, we're still just doing our little stone, so it doesn't matter too much. Oh, look at that. So for some reason there was a bit of green then on that stone. I don't know if you can see that. So show you close up. There was a bit of green on the end of the pencil, and it's just gone onto the stone. Let's see if we can get it off with some erasing. It was quite a sharp piece of green there. So we've got the majority of it off. I'm not too worried about that. Do you ever find that happens though? I found that in a few pencils where there's a bit of different colour within the core, and all of a sudden you're colouring and then you've got these streaks of a random colour. Very odd. There we go, it's not too bad at all. So I think my routine now is after every single stone I'm going to check the camera. So let me know what you like doing when you're colouring. If you need to just sit and not do anything else or have any other distractions, that's awesome. If you watch TV, if you listen to music, what kind of music do you listen to? Let me know. So sometimes I listen to music. I do love music, but if I'm, for instance, writing a blog or doing something where I need to concentrate, I can't really have music on because I'll just start singing along to it and I'll start typing out the lyrics, so that's not good. But as for the type of music, bit of a rock chick. I love Muse. Hopefully everyone's heard of Muse. I think they're big pretty much everywhere. Coldplay. Love anything by Coldplay. In fact, I'd say they're probably my favourite band. But I do listen to a range of stuff. I've recently got into trying to learn the raps of like Eminem and stuff like that. My kids find it hilarious. Oldest one, not so much. Youngest one loves it. So I do know the whole first verse of The Hills featuring Eminem by The Weeknd. Not going to do it now though. I learnt the Iggy Azalea part of Problem, the song with Ariana Grande. I can do that all in one go. I'm really proud of myself for that. Don't think there's any others that I know as yet. Oh no, tell a lie, I do know the Eminem Lose Yourself because my little boy basically taught me it. He really loves rapping and stuff. He's into the Big Shaq rap at the moment. That sort of comedy rap. Man's not hot. So you'll just hear him going, perspiration ting, walking around the house. It's quite funny. What I could do with someone is with someone here just shouting screen check every few minutes, so I just remember to check that I'm still on screen. If this were live, that would be helpful, wouldn't it? Because you lot could tell me. But I don't know if I'm ready for a long live stream yet. So as I said in the last video, I'm doing all of this in real time, unless that's something that the majority of you don't want. If you do want me to just show you a technique and then speed the rest of it up, let me know. But I have found that the most popular colour along videos are all in real time. So that's the way I'm going to do it for now. Just difficult finding things to talk about because I don't like quiet spaces. So as I say, let me know if you want me to chat about anything in particular. Screen check, yep. So I think I'm coming up to be ready for sharpening now. Getting just slightly too blunt, and I'm making the border ever thicker than it should be. I know I've got a lot of bad habits. You're not supposed to brush your pencils across like that, because I can already see some remnants of pigment that's just stuck to the page where I've been brushing it with my hand. But again, with the sharpener, I seem to have quite bad habits of the way that I do things, but hey ho. Okay, so I'm going to give these a sharpen now. Lovely. Just want to make sure that that very, very end of the tip is broken off, otherwise it'll go crack. So as for time, at the moment we're on 27 minutes, and I do want to try and keep these videos, if possible, to around about half an hour. The last one I did was about 40 minutes. So what I'm going to do is, once I've done this stonework on this side, I'll probably colour the other side myself off camera. But I won't use any other kinds of techniques or anything. It'll be exactly the same as this, just for the purposes of not having ridiculously long videos, for one thing. I hope that's okay with you guys. But you've seen me do one whole side now, so you should have got the gist of it by now. As for the step, that's going to be quite quick to do, with it all just being one thing rather than these individual stones. But we're going to be using the same colours. So once again, just to recap, we're outlining the stones in our darkest colour, leaving a fluffy edge towards the middle for our next colour to blend into. Whoops. And the same with the third colour. So we're just trying to buff out any sharp edges of dark grey. So it does look really nice and soft and smooth. So one last stone on this side to do. Phew, still on camera. I didn't check for a while then. It's because the camera's actually above me, so I can't, it's not like I'm looking down on it, I'm actually underneath the camera. It's sort of tilted and balanced on a shelf above my head. That's the best angle I've seemed to have been able to get for these videos. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with how that's turned out. Now what I'm going to do is show you the slab at the bottom, and it's really super quick and easy. So what we're doing is we're going to take our darkest grey and we're going to again work from the outside inwards from both edges of this slab. So really hard and dark over here. And on this side as well. Blending out into barely anything on the page to give that base for the next grey. You know how it works by now. So we'll take our next grey, which is the 30% cool grey, go over that last little bit that we did there to blend, and again very lightly towards the centre. And in the centre, our lightest grey, the 10% cool grey, just to fill in the spot in the middle. So super quick, but really nice and effective. You can also bring some more of that darker colour further in if you want to. Maybe a little bit longer at the front, like that. And then just buff out any obvious lines with the next lightest colour. So that is how we're doing the slab. Now this here, this semicircle, I'm wondering if that's just a sort of another grey slab that's in a circular shape laid into the rectangular slab. I'm not sure. I don't think it's going to be like a carpet or anything like that. But I was reading this story a couple of pages before. It says that, where are we? So, a sun-dappled leafy tunnel. On the ground, there were droplets of ink and there was mossy earth that lined the floor of the tunnel. So this is going to be moss and mud. So I'm wondering whether to do some sort of moss on here, but then again it's too circular, it's not random enough to be moss. I'll tell you what we're going to do, let's just treat it like it's another sort of slab that's laid into that rectangular piece. and we'll use our same technique to colour that. I'm going to leave this inner door frame for a while because I'm not sure what we're doing for the background yet. Answers on a postcard, please. And your homework for next time is to have finished the entire arch of stones, because that's what I'm going to be doing between now and the next video. So how's that looking? Pretty happy with that. Just make a few adjustments if there's anything you're not happy with. And we'll do the same as well for this little slab that's sitting underneath the one that we did first. And then I believe that that is the last bit. Now these sort of semicircles, not sure about that yet. So I'm going to leave that until we've coloured some of the other stuff, seeing what other colours we've used on the page and what else we could do with that. And it's quite odd to have a scalloped edge on a slab like that, so any ideas, let me know. So fundamentally that's it. We're not really going to do anything else to that slab. It looks pretty effective, looks pretty good on camera as well. So hope you've enjoyed this second part to the colour along. Don't forget that by the next video I will have coloured the rest of this archway in the same exact technique that we used here. So make sure that you've done that for next time as well, and I'll see you on the next video.